Le sommet international de l'éducation du futur réunit une soixantaine de conférenciers du monde entier. Des pionniers et des innovateurs issus du monde de l'éducation, bien évidemment, mais également des êtres inspirants, issus des chemins de sagesse ou des chemins d'apprentissage et de créativité dans différents domaines. Les arts, les sciences, l'économie, le lien avec la nature, le sport, etc. Des expériences et des chemins de vie qui sont un formidable enrichissement pour le monde de l'éducation. Le professionnalisme des traductions, en simultané, et l'incroyable richesse de toutes ces conférences offrent un horizon de point de vue vaste et varié, très complet, qui en font au final une véritable formation professionnelle pour les enseignants, les éducateurs et tous les professionnels de l'éducation, mais également une formation à la parentalité consciente et une formation individuelle à la vie consciente. Face à toute cette richesse et aux divers retours, nous avons décidé d'offrir toutes ces conférences à tous, partout dans le monde, en français et en anglais, quelquefois en allemand et en espagnol. Découvrez la vision d'acteurs audacieux et influents du changement, vers un monde éthique, solidaire, généreux et profondément respectueux de tous, des cultures, des peuples, des règnes et de la planète. Un incroyable panel de conférences, couvrant toutes les dimensions de l'éducation, pour un futur ayant du sens, une humanité épanouie et une terre qui respire. Une chose est sûre, votre vie, et à travers vous, celle des enfants, ne sera plus la même après avoir écouté toutes ces conférences. Pour avancer, nous avons besoin de vous, nous avons besoin de votre générosité solidaire. L'organisation du sommet et l'édition des conférences ont nécessité des milliers d'heures de travail et nécessitent encore beaucoup de temps et d'investissement. Nous faisons appel aux dons libres et spontanés pour compléter le financement du sommet et, si possible, continuer à l'enrichir de nouvelles conférences. Votre soutien est vraiment précieux et vital pour aller jusqu'au bout de cette aventure extraordinaire. Merci. Michaël, je t'ai rencontré il y a longtemps.
Michael, I had the opportunity to meet you a long time ago. I don't know if you remember. I followed a series of training courses with you, and there's something that really struck me at the time, and this is something that I had the opportunity to share on several occasions. I heard you say, you know, life is simple. It's yes or no, and if it's not yes, then it means it's no. And I really remember that moment and that sentence. I've used it. It helped me in so many situations in life. Because I realized that it's true. That's always how it works, you know? There's no maybe or perhaps. It's either yes or no. And this is what illustrates Michael. This simplicity, this relevance of light, and things become so simple and so obvious. So I'm delighted to welcome you today and to give you the floor. Well, our approach is based on a paradigm shift. The offer we'd like to present is the openness to life, life as it is, and this openness is possible on the basis of a change in our mindsets, and we need to realize that we are one conscience, and it can be expressed in different souls. And our work is to start by understanding the mechanisms. Why are we separated? Why do we believe that we are separated individuals? And we need to understand the mechanism, and then we need to take one step towards exploration beyond these mechanisms that are mechanisms of protection, simply out of love to protect who we think we are. And this paradigm shift is the happiest orientation for mankind. If we want to explore this new way of living together, and that's the main work that we would like to offer, being open. Indeed, this paradigm shift, this change in vision is available for each and every one of us, even though it is something that seems quite important and radical. We are used to working and living as separate individuals. We believe that we are unique, single individuals. We have our own social identity, family identity, our personal identity. And since we are separated, we adopt a series of mechanisms to survive and to protect ourselves, because we believe that even if we are powerful, we are very small compared to the infinite world. And so we set up this series of mechanisms. And society is still organized today on the basis of this vision of separation. Each individual seems to be separated. So that's my family, that's my clan, my tribe, my region, my country, my vision of the world. So this separation can be quite wide, but it's a limited prospect, a limited vision. And we believe that it is possible to move away from that vision of separation to a vision of oneness, of unity. So when you discover that we are all one being, one consciousness, and that consciousness is pure love, openness, love, unconditional love, pure presence. And this is really a change in views, in the vision. Because everything in this world is going to push us towards separation. And how can you see love and the true nature of reality when you see the wars, the conflicts, the difficulties, the suicide? It's very difficult when you look at the world to be open to that opportunity and to believe that, or to realize that it is possible to change this vision of separation. And that is not the reality. People tend to think that the world is cruel and hard, and that it's impossible to avoid suffering, that human beings are selfish. But that's the separated prospect. This is what we tend to believe. But for each human being and for mankind, it is important to move away from that separated vision to this vision of unity. When you discover, little by little, that you can exist, you can be in a more simple way, we can be free from our beliefs, our thoughts, we can be more and more simple more and more naked and less protected. And then we discover that we are pure presence, and that presence is unconditional love. So moving away from an individual vision to a universal vision, a collective vision, and this is not something that should be added to what we are, but something that should be taken away from our vision of things, to have a more simple vision. And we believe that mankind, humanity, is experiencing this transition. We are just between this stage of separation and a movement towards unity. And we still have a large share of the population that it's still in this vision of separation, and then some people who are a minority who feel that it is possible to change. And we hope this minority is going to become a majority. People who have discovered this unity. We have only one being, one consciousness, and the essence of life is pure love. So that's the transition we're experiencing. And in this transition, the extremes are going to be exacerbated. We're going to have more violence, more darkness. We have to go through that experience. And here the invitation is to change your vision of what is going on. How can we see and look at the war differently? Because the separated vision is going to be based on opposition, saying that that is not correct. So this comes from this separated vision that is opposed to life as it is in this moment. It's sometimes difficult for our brain to understand how we can look at life silently without opposition, and then you can discover unity. And unity is all about love. And you have an action that will emerge from that vision. It can be a silent action. You can simply be present. You have the feeling you're not doing anything, but you are present. And your presence and your look will have an impact because everything is closely connected, interconnected. Or you can have an action. You can start demonstrating, talking, speaking, sharing, acting, but that action is not based on opposition. It's not going to be an action against something, but in favor of something. And that's the whole difference. This separated vision is going to push us to be in opposition, to be against something. But if you discover unity, you should love without conditions everything that's going on around you. And there will be a movement towards something else, towards this manifestation of love and presence. So it's not something against. So it's in the way you look around you. The media are going to ask you to be polarized. You're going to be in favor or against things. And you should take hindsight to walk away from this polarity. And you can then look silently, clearly what is really happening. This is the external vision, but then you also have the internal vision, where you can welcome unconditionally the resistance, the separation movements, the emotions, the thoughts, looking silently, clearly, lovingly. And that change in vision is a paradigm shift, because the way we look at things has an influence of what we are looking at. It has a direct impact on what we're looking at. The power of that vision, the change of the vision is very, very important. For example, if you take the topic of education, how do you look at young people? How do you look at children? If a child is experiencing difficulties, violence, despair, sadness, closure, or are you going to look at him with your eyes closed, or is it possible to be open and to see what is happening, what is hiding behind those layers? How can you keep the eye open, this open vision on the potential of the child, what can become the flower of light that is the essence of the child behind this separated vision? And the way you look at others is very powerful. And we certainly all remember when someone looked at us with love. It has an impact on us. And in the world of education, it is important for the educators to change their vision and the way they look at others. Be aware of the changes, of the reactions, of the emotions, and take a step back and give that loving look, to be silent, present, and offer that look to the other, and look at the other as this potential of creation. And this is valid for children experiencing difficulties. Instead of looking at these children as children in difficulties, you should look at their potential. But this is also valid for people you don't like, or people that we consider as our enemies, or people that we think are not doing the right thing. And we should change our vision and try to be connected to their deepest being. So it's really a change in vision. And this invitation is to apply that everywhere. It should be unconditional. And all beings should benefit from that change in vision. That change in vision is essential. It is fundamental. And in our view, mankind is moving away from that separation vision, where we have the feeling that we are alone, isolated, in a cocoon, and move away to openness, realize that we have always been free with love, pure presence. And even if it's difficult to understand and to grasp today, because there's so much injustice, suffering, and violence in the world today, humanity is really invited to that movement, to that rebirth, that renaissance, like the flower coming out of the bud, or the butterfly coming out of the cocoon. Now, the cocoon will crack, it's going to be difficult, but humanity is invited to be open, to go back to its original nature, that is pure love, because we live in a universe of infinite love. And what is separating us from that, it's the way we understand the concepts, because we have created that mental cocoon. And because of that, we see reality in a distorted way, and we have to move away from that separated vision to the discovery of that unity. Now, would you like to say a few words now? Yes, thank you. Starting from the separated vision, we will build an identity, and that's who we think we are. And that identity is defined by a series of concepts, and it's just, formatting. Our soul is free, and then it is in a body. We believe that we are limited and we are formatted to survive on Earth. at that moment. And this is collective formatting, because you have a series of beliefs telling us that we are separated. But at an individual level, we will define ourselves as someone who has a family, that family, and then come the protections. What are those protections? Well, sometimes we protect ourselves by being in an inferior position compared to others. And that's the way of not existing, of not using our wisdom. You can be in that inferior position, but then you can also be in a superior vision in order to protect our heart. And in that way, we feel that we're not going to be destroyed by everything that is happening on Earth. So these are protection mechanisms that we develop. And actually, they are developed without us realizing it. But then we're disconnected from that power of light, from that wisdom, from that deep sensitivity that we all have. And because of these mechanisms, we tend to compare one another. There's always competition between everyone. And the educational system is based on that competition between children. And of course, there is a system to reward or scold. And it's always based on that vision of separation. We are separated from the others. And so we are in a position that is inferior or superior. But it's really interesting to analyze that process if you adopt that vision of unity. Because if you adopt that vision, you will realize that each human being is a divine being. And we have everything in us, in ourselves, to flourish and to bloom and to share your perfume as a flower. And this is a major turning point. It's a huge shift that invites us to discover unity, to give up on this superior or inferior position and to meet that love that is available for others and for ourselves. Now, this position, this inferior and superior position, enables you to have some form of control. It is based on this paradigm, based on separation. If we are separated, we need to control the others. We need to know more than the others. And there's something else that is really interesting to look at from an educational point of view. Am I going to transmit and share my knowledge, and will I let other divine beings discover their happiness, their joy, and develop that joy? Now, it sounds huge because it's really trying to change the paradigm we know and the vision we know. But we should move away from these protection mechanisms and who we think we are, and to turn to the heart. And the frequency of the heart is higher than separation. And that frequency is contagious. The more you are aware of your essence, and the more you'll be willing to live with that new frequency. This is something that can resonate in you. It's a sounding board, a resonance. And one could wonder how we can move away from separation to unity.
On peut se demander, mais comment
Now,
faire pour passer de la
unity
séparation à
should not
l'unité?
be
L'unité, elle
achieved.
n'a pas été,
You know, it's not something you
doit
achieve.
être,
It's not something you have to build or develop.
acquis. On doit pas
Unity is
l'acquérir,
already
l'unité.
there.
Elle doit
That's
pas,
who
on
we
doit pas la
are
faire.
before we
L'unité,
pretend
elle est-
we're something
elle est-
else,
elle est
someone
déjà là,
else,
c'est
or
ce qu'on est
a separate
avant
individual.
de
So
se
unity
prendre pour
is
quelqu'un,
there.
pour
It's
quelque
already
chose,
present,
pour un
is
individu. Donc, l'unité, elle
underlying.
est déjà là,
And
elle est
then there's this
sous-jacente, elle est déjà
artificial
présente.
construction
Et il y a une
that
construction
comes on top of that
artificielle
unity.
qui se
And that
superimpose
artificial
sur cette
structure is
unité.
that
Pardon, qui se
separation,
superpose sur cette unité.
cocoon,
Et cette construction
the thing
artificielle,
that
c'est
makes
ce
you
cocon de
think you're
séparation,
different and separated.
l'identification à qui on croit être,
And
et
it's
qui est maintenue en
being
place toujours
recreated
dans
all the
l'instant. Donc, elle est
time
comme
through these
recréée
protection
dans l'instant.
mechanisms. And if
Et
you
elle se
want to
recrée
be
dans
free
l'instant à
of
travers
these
des
mechanisms, you
mécanismes
have
de
to be
protection,
aware
une
of what is
manière
happening
de s'en
inside.
libérer.
You
Ça
shouldn't try to
passe
fight
par le
it
fait de
and change
conscientiser
it,
ce qui se passe à
but
l'intérieur.
simply
Pas
be
être en lui,
aware of what is
pas essayer de
happening and be
transformer, mais
free.
de prendre
So
conscience.
first you have to
Voilà. C'est ça qui
become
se passe.
aware,
La liberté, le
then
retour
your
vers
heart should
ce changement de
welcome
regard,
what
il
is
commence
there
par une prise de conscience
and look at
et
what is
par,
there with
par
love,
un
because
accueil,
if you
un
judge
regard
the
d'amour sur ce
protection
qui est là.
mechanisms and what is
Parce que si je
happening
juge
inside,
ce
that's
que
yet another protection
les mécanismes de
mechanism that
protection,
is
ce qui se passe à
maintaining this
l'intérieur,
separation.
ça c'est encore
So
un
you have
mécanisme
to
de protection
have a vision
maintient
based on
la
love.
séparation à
You
l'intérieur.
have to look at what is happening
Regard,
silently
regarder avec
and then
amour, avec
change
silence ce
what
qui se
you
passe.
want to
Et puis
change
il y a tout
and,
le
and choose
potentiel
a
est là
different
pour
way. And
transformer
amongst
ce qu'on a
these
envie de
separation
transformer,
mechanisms
aller dans une autre direction. Et
that
parmi les mécanismes de
recreate this
séparation,
separation cocoon with who we
qui
think we
recrée
are,
ce cocon de
we talked
séparation
about
qui constitue
the
qui on croit être.
inferior and
Mais là, on a
superior
mentionné deux, donc
position
c'est mécanisme,
and
le gardien de la
the
supériorité, le
guardians.
gardien de
And it happens
l'infériorité.
very
Et
quickly.
ça
You have an
ça
emotion
joue
and
très
then
très vite en fait.
you'll feel
On va avoir une
powerless,
émotion, on va se
helpless,
sentir
or
impuissant
sometimes
par
you'll
rapport à elle,
feel
ou
that
se
you're more
sentir petit par
important
rapport à
than
elle, alors
others.
qu'on
But
est
it's really
on
interesting
se
to
sent
look at that,
très
to
important,
analyze
plus
that.
important que les autres.
And then at the roots,
Donc
there
ça
are
c'est
two
intéressant juste à regarder.
mechanisms. First, you have an
Mais
opposition
plus
mechanism.
à
So
la
you
racine, il y a
have
comme deux
this
mécanismes. Un mécanisme, c'est un
God
mécanisme d'opposition. Donc il y a un
that
gardien
is there
pour
to
protéger qui on croit
protect
être,
you
protéger
and
ce
to
qui
say
est moi,
no.
qu'on
This is
croit
what
être,
Abel
va
said
s'opposer à
earlier.
elle.
So there's
C'est-à-dire
going
que
to
dans
be a
l'instant, il va
no.
dire non. C'est ce que Abel
No
mentionnait
to
tout à
backache,
l'heure. Donc
stomachache,
il va y avoir un non.
or
Non
no
à-
to the way you feel right now, no
au
to
mal
the
au dos,
way
non au
someone
mal au
is
ventre,
talking to
non
me, no to the
non à la
temperature, no
sensation
to the
physique de
situation in
l'instant,
the
non à la
world. So
manière
there's
dont on
always
parle,
something that comes
non à la
as an
situation dans le
opposition.
monde, non à la
And that
température.
opposition
Il y a
maintains
quelque chose qui
the
vient toujours
separation
s'opposer, et en
between me
venant
and
s'opposer,
life,
ça
even though
maintient une
I am life.
séparation
So the first thing to
entre
do is to be aware
moi et la vie, alors
of
que je
that
suis la vie. Donc une
guardian
manière,
of
c'est
opposition.
de prendre conscience de ce gardien de l'opposition et de choisir de ne pas
and to
pactiser avec lui,
choose
de
not to
revenir
make a
de le
pact
voir et de
with the
revenir
latter
à
and
ce
to
qui
come
est.
back to what it is.
Donc l'accueil de ce
So
qui est, ça veut pas
welcoming
dire
what
qu'il
it
faut pas
is doesn't
prendre
mean
plaisir,
that you
on
cannot
peut prendre un plaisir,
do what
peut être
is,
sans opposition au
but
fond.
you
Et
can
aller
take a
chercher.
jumper but
Ça,
not
c'est
being
agréable
opposed to the cold.
pour
It's
soi-même et pour les
agreeable
autres
for
de
yourself
vivre avec,
and for the
d'être en
others
contact avec quelqu'un qui n'est
to
pas dans une
be in
opposition.
contact with
Et
someone who is not in
dans cette
opposition
ouverture,
but
dans ce
in
flot de la vie.
the flow of
Et
life.
l'autre
Another
mécanisme,
mechanism
c'est un mécanisme où
is
on va se
one
projeter, on va se raconter une
in
histoire
which you
sur
tell
soi-même,
a
peu
story
importe
on
l'histoire.
yourself, whatever
On
story.
va se projeter dans
So
le temps.
you project yourself in
Et
the
l'invitation,
future,
c'est de voir l'histoire et de
and the
revenir
idea
juste
is to
à
come
l'instant,
back
juste à la
to
présence
the
du moment,
moment,
se permettre d'être, de
to
sentir,
feel what
ce
is
qui est là,
here, to exist.
Donc le changement de regard
Change
passe
of
par
looks
la
goes
conscientisation,
through
la prise de
the
conscience
awareness
de
of
ce qui se
what
passe à
happens
l'intérieur. Et
inside,
c'est, même si
even if
chaque âme est
each
venue
soul
expérimenter d'une
experiences
certaine manière la
suffering,
souffrance, la séparation,
separation,
il y a quelque chose
there is
il y a quelque chose d'unique à
something
chacun à
unique
apprendre
to each and every one of us to take through the experience, and the way can be hard and long, but unity is close. It is here. It's just a change of looks. It's even simpler than looking up or down. There's something immediate to the presence. So this unconditional love, we are in it, but the looks impedes us from seeing it. It is as if you're in a submarine exploring the ocean that wonders, where is this mysterious water? The wise people talk about, and the submarine doesn't find the water because it's in a capsule. And the invitation is just to open yourself. It requires more effort to be into separation. There is a lot of energy to maintain us separate, and this possibility of wide looks to unity is available to everyone. But it goes through an awareness raising, so it depends on, well, if you are ready to see what is at stake within you, ready to feel, because there can be a strong opposition to feel what is disagreeable, physical sensation or other. The inner present is to welcome, saying yes to what is now and now, here and now. Nature of reality is purely love, but it's also full of potential. The separate look is looks that limit us. We will see our options in life in a limited way, whereas this conscious space is full of potential. It's an infinite potential, this ability, this unlimited power to manifest a new reality. But the conditioned looks gives us the impression that it's not possible, that in life we have three choices: to go on in the unsatisfying status quo, to leave the status quo, which is scary, or I only see two choices actually, whereas there are many strong potential, and it is available in the instant. Culture, media have us see humanity in a certain way. And it is not a looks that stresses the full potential that is here in the instant. Society today represents the submarine that wants to remain closed to protect who you think you are. And the invitation is to open oneself beyond. This is what happens with extreme violence, absurdity, unfairness makes your look change. It's not always necessary to go through extreme to change your looks in this full potential. There is this possibility to make it soft and simple for each and every one of us. To make it soft and simple, we have to open to this possibility. It shouldn't be difficult and painful. This change of looks in terms of society or education begins with yourself. Looks changes for one and it has an effect for the whole. And it facilitates the change for oneself. The looks of the media and society is on separation. If we all change, it will change the looks of the media and it will help others to change the looks on society, education, and any systems in place. Let's open up to this possibility for this change of look and the change from separation to unity be as simple as possible for each and every one of us. It is unavoidable. There is this opening that is hard to feel because the separation submarine seems real. But beyond it, there is love, unlimited love, a presence, an eternity, and that's reality. The rest is illusion. Illusion that we experiment, it's not our inner truth. But there is the possibility to open beyond that if we want to. I would like to add that it's really interesting to be aware of separation mechanisms on a daily basis in our life. And one important one is judgment. Our inner judge creates a lot of opinions on what happens on ourselves. The inner judge can be really ferocious with ourselves, towards the others, the planet, the politics, etc. The inner judge is interesting to envisage. This inner judge is a protector. If you were different, you were better loved. So the judge tells yourself a story to which you adhere or not. And you can say, I hear you, my judge, but I don't want to be inferior in relation to you anymore. This awareness of the judge helps us be more free towards the judge. The judge maintains separation. Meeting of the heart and the judge brings unity. Let's have a look at the separation. We watch series, for instance. There's always judgment is always part of it. There must be judgment, manipulation, danger, lack of authenticity for the story based on separation can arise. So all these elements that emerge from the judge from separation, the lack of authenticity and transparency, help us reformat us. The models we have, most of are built on separation. On a daily basis, what are we exposed to? Do we continue feeding all the screens that stimulate separation, survival, that confirm that we are surviving, that there is danger, that we should be protected? Or do we turn to nature, plants, animals, the authentic link of the heart? What do we feed? Do we feed separation or not? Or do we feed a growing feeling of unity or a thirst for unity? To taste something else than status quo that shows us we're not going anywhere.
Apparemment, Lorenzo, il s'attendait ou alors il a l'attente parce que tu parles des nouvelles générations.
Lorenzo, I think, would like you to speak about new generations. From my point of view, the frequency of the heart, global frequency is increasing. Or we are moving towards a new paradigm, unity paradigm. It is most probably next generations have another frequency than the one we know today, where there is a fight and a difficulty to cross the cocoon, the submarine, the cocoon. Wiseness will come from future children because they will have had the space to teach us. Conveying the paradigm of separation it's over. The invitation is to throw away the idea that we're separate. And look at young children who are already linked to life. They have if their basic needs are met, they are completely and directly linked to life. They haven't been formatted to that idea that we're separate. The less the adult will be afraid and will be straight naturally, this meeting with unity will appear with children. I think we've said it all.
Voilà, Abel, je pense que
Abel, I think
le tour.
we said it all.
Il y a Nathalie qui écrit comment alléger ce passage.
How can
J'ai
you
l'impression d'être en terre inconnue maintenant.
lighten the passage
plus, mais
Yes, animal autonomy, but I'm alone in this with my husband. How can we alleviate this passage? An important element to take into account when you want things to be lighter, it's to cut causes. What you feel heavy inside belongs to you. And the external part is only a mirror of closeness that you have inside. And it's interesting to watch it, and it's important to open it. And feeling this heaviness and this, when you take the time to feel it without having the objective to have it disappear, but just to be present with this feeling, it helps you listen to your soul and what you want and what is the next concrete step to do in your life to feel more centered. It's a challenge for who you think you are, because who you think you are is made up of criteria. I do this, but I would never do this. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. So protection mechanisms are there to impede listening. Listening is very soft because it heads towards the next step to take. Guardians will say, if you abandon everything, you will become homeless, just to maintain us in the status quo. Whereas next step in the direction of our heart may be very soft, may be very simple, can be the fact to say something authentic and feel what it does inside to have dared existing. It's a tenderness trip to ourselves. You relate to your soul when you cut the causes and to turn towards what does it say to me? What can I discover within me? Do I want to do next step? Do next step and feel what it is to be straight, where I have to be. The assumption is that the external part has nothing to do with what we feel inside. It's just a mirror of my resistance, my no to life. Life is what it is in the instant. You think that if you say no, things will change. And if you say yes, it won't change. But life has a flow. And it's just like going against the tide or with the current. It's we nevertheless have to go towards our preferences. Thank you all for listening to us. Thank you, Abel, for being the vehicle that helped us helped the summit be a reality.
d'avoir lieu. Tu dis que c'est grâce à moi, mais la réalité,
The
c'est que
reality
tu ne
is
le sais
that
peut-être pas, mais tu as
it
tout
is
porté
thanks
sur
to
tes
life
épaules, en
through
te
you.
laissant porter par la vie. C'est un travail immense que tu as accompli.
It's a
Et je t'en
huge
rends
job
grâce et
that you accomplished.
je suis très reconnaissant.
I am
Merci à
grateful.
toi, merci à vous deux de toute cette grâce aussi.
Thank
dont vous
you
témoignez,
you
et de
both
toute
for
cette
all
douceur qui est
this
perceptible
grace
à ce moment-ci.
and softness and
Merci,
tenderness I can feel.
Au revoir.
Thank you.
Merci, merci, merci.
Bye. Thank you.